following is a presentation of the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports.
It's a bowl night in Atlanta, Georgia, where the Yellow Jackets are back in town. We're inside McCamish Pavilion. The NC State Wolfpack have made the trip from Raleigh. NC State looking for their 5th consecutive victory. March 1st basketball in McCamish, and we welcome you courtside. Hi, everybody. Evan Lepler with Corey Alexander. So much has changed for NC State in the past couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, they were firmly on the bubble. Now it's a different conversation.
Well, a change from Coach Kevin Keats was actually to start 4 guards, moving Torn Dorn to the 4 position, and it really opened up the offense for NC State, and they have been flourishing ever since.
On this Wolfpack team looking for the coveted double bye. It's interesting, Corey. Duke, Clemson, Carolina, and State all control their own destiny. NC State with a win tonight and Saturday will be in that top 4. And they've been shooting the ball so well from outside lately.
And that's the reason why NC State has found the winners 7 of their last 9 games, because they've been able to stretch the floor from beyond the arc. When you have your 7-foot center capable of knocking down threes, now you have 5 guys on the floor at all times that are making it dangerous to guard the Wolfpack.
They're better than 50% from 3 over the last 5. Josh Okogie and Georgia Tech will try to slow him down. Okogie had 26 a game against the Wolfpack last year. Pack and Jackets are next.
SEC basketball is being brought to you by Geico, saving people money for over 75 years. By Gatorade, win from within. By your Carolina Ford dealers. And by Bojangles, it's bow time.
Just about set for tip-off inside McCamish Pavilion. We'll set you with the starting lineups presented by Food Lion. Beverly Johnson Freeman, who's been the Wolfpack's leading scorer in their last 4 games, with Dorn and the tall center from Turkey, Omir Yurtseven. For Georgia Tech, Todrick Jackson, Josh Okogie, Evan Cole, Moses Wright, and Ben Lammers. Interesting story, Evan Cole was committed to UNC Wilmington for Kevin Keats. When Coach Keats left for the Wolfpack, he reopened his recruiting, came to Georgia Tech, and Moses Wright, an Atlanta native, goes, a Raleigh native, goes against his hometown school tonight in Atlanta. Carolina Ford, keys to the game. What you got, Corey?
NC State has to stay hot from 3. That's the way they've really been able to take the pressure off Yurtseven, allow him to work on the inside. And Georgia Tech, you have to limit your turnovers. NC State forces close to 16 turnovers a game in ACC play. They're #1 in the league, and they use it to fuel their offense. Georgia Tech cannot give them those opportunities.
It's going to be interesting contrast to styles in the way the 2 teams want to play in terms of pace.
Well, and that's one of the things that Kevin Keats talked to us about earlier today, when he simply said this game concerns him because of the styles of play. If Georgia Tech is able to make this a pace that they want to play, it will put the Wolfpack in a bind in this game.
NC State picked up win number 20 with a dominant performance against the Seminoles over the weekend. Can they get number 21 tonight inside McCamish Pavilion, a building in which they have never lost?
And that's a small thing, but that's a big play off the tap for Ben Lammers to come up with the 50-50 ball and give Georgia Tech the first possession, an opportunity to score early.
Yurtseven helps out, blocks the shot from the driving Okogie.
And Yurtseven's going to have to be that guy in position to help with Okogie. Okogie will have an advantage over everyone guarding him for NC State. And Ben Lammers is going to have to be capable of knocking down shots to keep Yurtseven honest and out of staying out of the paint.
Lammers with the shot clock winding down, spins, tough fadeaway, and a strong rebound for Torn Dorn. Markel Johnson, the Wolfpack quarterback. How well has he played lately?
Extremely well, leading the ACC in assists and 3rd in steals, but he puts everyone in position to be successful on the floor.
Dorn right for 2.
And that's the thing, the advantage that NC State has with Torn Dorn playing the 4 position. He is a guard and extremely difficult for what is considered power forwards to be able to match up with.
Georgia Tech not obeying Corey's key.
Well, that's not a live ball turnover, but it's still an opportunity that Georgia Tech does not get to score. And scoring at times can be a problem for the Ramblin' Wreck. They can't give away those opportunities.
Well, the Yellow Jackets had one of their best offensive games in terms of efficiency this season against Clemson. Now, it didn't translate into a win. They're gaining some confidence, although, whoa, Lammers met Yurt 7 and denied the slam.
And for those who don't recognize, Ben Lammers is now third in Georgia Tech history on block shots, passing the great John Sally and UC. Ben Lammers, last year's ACC Defensive Player of the Year, protecting the rim.
Number 247 in his career. That's easily leading all active ACC players. Dorn baseline, scores again.
And Torin Dorn hasn't shot the three great recently, but he really hasn't taken a lot of them. What he's been able to do is attack the basket and put pressure on opposing teams' defense by getting to the rim and finishing, while his teammates have been the guys who are knocking down all the threes.
He's averaged 15 a game lately by getting shots near the basket. In transition, Freeman. And Dorn stepped out of bounds, unable to keep it alive.
And Moses Wright going to take the early exit out of the game here in the first half. Brandon Austin coming off the bench, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that Josh Pastner needs more ball handling on the floor against this pressure from NC State. Moses Wright already with early turnover problems. And Georgia Tech still sitting with the donut on the scoreboard.
2 minutes gone in Atlanta. See if Alston, the transfer from Lehigh, can give the Jackets a lift. Shot clock's down to 9. Evan Cole, foot on the line. Air mails it. And NC State's coming the other way. Look out. Johnson to the corner. Freeman fakes it, takes it, makes it.
And of course, NC State scoring is a benefit on the offensive end of the floor, but it also allows them to pick up 94 feet and put the defensive pressure on Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech right now just out of sorts, unable to get much going. A welcome three for Todrick Jackson, but one of the first times that there was no pressure on the offensive player when they caught the basketball on the perimeter.
Josh Pastner's team needed that, and they get the steal. Ahead, the pass was off Okogie's back. Forced it up there too quick. Beverly attacks Freeman from the other side. Somehow Dorn came out of the traffic with a rebound. Yurt 7 averaging 14 a game. Another offensive rebound, and Torin Dorn's got a chance for a three-point play.
And Torin Dorn has really been the epitome as to what Kevin Keats wants from this NC State team. It's not always about the style points. It's about what is most effective, and it's hard work and hustle. Torin Dorn getting it done on the offensive glass once again. 2 offensive rebounds for Dorn alone on that possession. And now an opportunity for a three-point play. Torin Dorn already 3 for 3 from the field with 3 field goals. An opportunity now for his 7th point.
It's been such a different conference season for Torin Dorn. Last year, double figures 3 times in league play. This year, 11 times. And he's got 7 in the first 4 minutes tonight.
And another turnover for Georgia Tech that turns into opportunity for NC State. Another offensive rebound.
Yurt 7 had it poked away. Jackson trapped in the backcourt, finds Alston.
You know, Evan, I've been doing a lot of NC State games recently, but their defensive pressure in this game thus far is the best that I've seen it. Kevin Keats, pre-game talk to his Wolfpack squad, definitely hit home, and they've come out here with McCamish Pavilion with a tremendous amount of defensive energy.
The message to anyone that would listen is, look, our team is bought in. They are focused. They are trusting each other, and you can see that. It really manifests itself at the defensive end.
It has, and, you know, again, when you think about the fact that these guys are sharing the ball extremely well and not only making a bunch of threes, but taking good shots, which is allowing them to be able to make baskets, shoot well, over 50% from the field, and now 5 consecutive games, and now that allows them to set up that defensive pressure.
Moses Wright got Yurt 7 on the arm, and the Pack will have free throws when we come back.
And Torin Dorn already off to a great start here at McCamish as the Pack lead Georgia Tech by 7.
Torrin Dorn.
And Torrin Dorn, off of the first offensive possession for NC State, was able to find his way to the rim again and again. And then the offensive rebound, an opportunity for the putback and the three-point play. Torrin Dorn already off to a great start. 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 of those rebounds on the offensive end of the floor. And he has really played great basketball since Kevin Keats moved him into the 4 position, taking advantage of his mismatch at the 4 every game out.
You were talking about how he hasn't shot the ball well lately. He's averaged 15 points a game in their last 5, despite going 1 of 9 from 3. And that's because he's taking it aggressively to the rack.
And that's really where he's at his best. And Torrin Dorn strong enough to contend with anyone when he gets to the rim.
1 of 2 for the 7-footer. You're at 7. Leonard Freeman into the game. Malik Abu as well for NC State.
And just like that, Coach Keats can now go with 2 bigs on the floor, but it's now a zone pressure in comparison to man-to-man, to where they'll be trapping all over the floor, and they continue to make it difficult for Georgia Tech to find any breathing room on the offensive end of the floor.
Just a split second before the shot clock hit 20. Jackets established possession in the front court. Rebound for Sam Hunt, who's been electric lately from the outside. He's made his last 8 3-point attempts. Spinning to the goal, Abu denied. And Beverly comes up with the ball. Alston had it and lost it. That's the 5th Georgia Tech turnover.
You talk about Sam Hunt making his last 8 attempts. Is that as impressive as making his last 14 out of 15?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, it's close.
I don't think so. 8 for 8 is great. I'd rather have 14 out of 15. That's when you look at it, 6 times 3, that's 18 more points that you're talking about when you make 14 out of 15 in comparison to 8 for 8.
Todrick Jackson has been the offense.
Don't try to switch the subject on me.
I was just catching us up. What's the most threes you ever made in a row in game play?
I have absolutely no idea.
It's probably low number, would you say?
Why would you say something like that?
Well, if you can't remember, if it was memorable, you would certainly. If you had made 13 threes in a row, you wouldn't remember?
I know I never made 13 threes in a row. I'll tell you that much, because I was the type of guy that I'm going to take a number of heat checks if I'm shooting that well.
Foul was on Abu at the other end. You make 2 in a row, and the next one's going up no matter how many guys are guarding you.
The next one's going up even if I miss 2 in a row. That's just the way it works.
That sounds about right. Lammers had it poked away and a whistle. They got him on the arm. Ted Valentine, Roger Ayers, Ed Corbett presiding tonight. Leonard Freeman picks up the personal.
You know, and all the momentum thus far in this game has gone in the favor of NC State, the road team coming in. But 11-5 really isn't that bad when you consider that Georgia Tech has 5 turnovers early in this game. Being down 6 right now isn't that bad for Georgia Tech, and they have an opportunity to cut into that lead with the ball here on the offensive end of the floor. They've got to find a way to get quality shots, but again, we can see another turnover for Georgia Tech.
Josh Pastner has harped on it all season long. They just turned it over far too high a percentage of their trips. Quick shot, Sam Hunt. There's his heat check.
Well, and again, Sam Hunt is also playing on the road. You got to get used to the rims here, but I like my chances with Sam Hunt taking 3.
Hunting a slam. Moses Wright will get to the line.
And Moses Wright getting an opportunity to get back on the court after an early exit for Coach Pastner. Unable to finish, but I like the attack by the young fella. And of course, this is a game you mentioned earlier. He's from Raleigh. He wants to be able to play well against the hometown team, recognizing that in one of the biggest media markets for college basketball in the country, in the Triangle, many of his people at home are back watching this game.
No question about it. By the way, Abu just picked up a 2nd foul, so he's back to the bench. Sam Hunt back to the bench as well after missing 1 shot. Torrin Dorn's back out there. Moses Wright only played 1 year of varsity basketball in high school. He played tennis. He was a swimmer. He was recruited by Mark Price, Yellow Jacket grade at Charlotte, but came to Georgia Tech when the Jackets showed interest. NC State, after the hot start, has missed its last 5 shots. Johnson, acrobatic shot for 2.
And Markel Johnson went to the basket there looking for a teammate, which he does so well, and found himself in a position where the only option he had was to put a shot up on the glass and was able to finish it.
Impressive hang time. Jackson tipped home by Lammers.
But that's a great play by Todrick Jackson when they had advantage basketball 3-on-2 to go ahead and attack, not try to pull it out and run offense. NC State is making it very uncomfortable for Georgia Tech in their half court. So by getting it up on the glass, he allowed Lammers an opportunity for the second chance points.
Beverly straight away for three.
You cannot give that young man easy opportunities like that, and that's a simple pop back off of a fake screen, and Braxton Beverly making Georgia Tech pay.
Jackson on the attack again. He's 3 for 4 for 7 points.
And when you play against teams like NC State that pressure the way that they do defensively, you have to have guys like a Todrick Jackson, Josh Okogie going and making individual plays just to beat the pressure. And with Yurt 7 on the bench, Abu and Lenar Freeman not on the level as shot blockers as you see with Yurt 7, so it's a great opportunity to attack the rim.
It's a great point about Yurt 7 being on the bench. Meanwhile, Moses Wright protects the rim for the Jackets. The offense has gone through Jackson and Lammers. Okogie has not been involved so far. Todrick Jackson wants 3 more.
And Todrick Jackson has the capability of getting hot and quickly. And just like we talked about, it's a 16-13 game. Georgia Tech on their home court now starting to find a little bit of a comfort level on the offensive end.
Kind of similar to the game for Georgia Tech on Saturday. They fell behind 17-7 and took an 11-point lead in the second half before running out of gas. But another turnover and a foul in transition against Jackson. We'll get ourselves a timeout. But Georgia Tech has stabilized after the Wolfpack got off to the hot start. 3-point game in Atlanta. Top 25 presented to you by Honda Dealers of the Carolinas. Virginia #1 in the country. Tough road game tonight. They're down by 7 early against Louisville.
Well, Louisville, of course, having a lot to play for senior night for the Cards. And, of course, they're still trying to find their way and make sure they're solid in the NCAA tournament. They'll be making a trip to Raleigh to take on NC State on Saturday. So a big game for Louisville.
There's great defense by Okogie. Just picked the pocket of Freeman. Up ahead, Alston. Wright was fouled on the follow.
And a great defensive sequence there by Josh Okogie. And that's the part of Al Freeman's game that often can get Kevin Keats a little bothered. The over-dribbling and just too much in one spot allowed Josh Okogie to be able to use that long wingspan to come up with a steal and a great play to actually get it to Alston off of the loose ball.
Pretty good defense by Dorn in transition to prevent the easy initial layup. Beverly fouled Wright on the follow. Georgia Tech started slowly, has picked it up offensively for their last 5 after starting 1 of 6. Wright can't knock him down, but that was last touched by Dorn.
You know, and we talked about the defensive intensity and the pressure that NC State was able to put on Georgia Tech to start the game. The issue for Kevin Keats right now is he really has 4 to 5 guards that can do that. He would like to have 8 guards that can do it, so when his first string gets tired, he has another 4 to be able to come in and keep that constant pressure going. But right now, he doesn't quite have the personnel to do that.
Oh, that was beautiful until the missed dunk, but Dorn will get to the line. Johnson to Beverly, and then Dorn tic-tac-toe to the basket.
And getting out in transition is the way that NC State loves to play. And even though Dorn is unable to finish that, it does put the second foul on Ben Lammers, even though there was a lot of basketball on that block. Actually, that's only going to be the first on Lammers. I thought he had gotten one early. But that's a good thing for Georgia Tech. Ben Lammers, who is the #1 center in the country as far as minutes played, and extremely important for him to be on the court.
Plays 36 minutes a game for the Yellow Jackets. We've lost 7 in a row. It's been a bunch of different tough stretches for Josh Pastner's team. He jokes they've had 9 different iterations of what their team has been throughout the season, from the team that went to China to the team that got back in the non-conference. They finally started to figure it out around New Year's, but they've turned it over too much, and Markel Johnson makes it a 6-point lead.
And when you turn the basketball over against NC State, they do a great job of turning it into points. They're not going to slow down and try to run offense. That's part of their offense, is getting out and getting those transition buckets.
Reach-in foul on Johnson. His first.
15 foul.
The latest iteration of Georgia Tech has been playing better. They played Virginia tough, played Clemson tough. It hasn't translated into a win, but, you know, putting guys like Cole and Wright have totally changed their identity.
Well, and they've had to, because, of course, the injury to Jose Alvarado, their starting point guard, who, before he was injured, had played every minute of 4 straight games and had become one of the most reliable players for Josh Pastner. And so playing without him has really forced Josh Pastner to have to change his lineup and how they have to go about playing. But playing without a true point guard is going to be difficult for any team.
Another offensive rebound for Dorn. He was tied up by Lammers on the stick back. Arrow belongs to the Pack.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you that. Is Ben Lammers comes up with the block shot, but because it is a block and Dorn comes down with it and it goes to a jump ball possession, is that a block shot for Ben Lammers?
I'm not sure. I think it depends on who's scoring the game.
Well, here at Georgia Tech, I'm sure it's going to be a block shot, especially when you're one of the all-time leaders in blocks.
And a technical foul has just been issued by Ted Valentine to Torin Dorn.
And Dorn, on his way back, apparently had something to say that Ted Valentine did not like. As Dorn runs by, and Valentine right on top of it. Good thing to see, actually, Valentine and Torin Dorn, as well as other members of the Wolfpack, having a conversation at half court.
So he picks up the personal and the technical. Now he's got 2 with 30 minutes of basketball left.
But that's a good piece of officiating by Ted Valentine in order to be able to go over and have that conversation. Coach Keats wanting to have a conversation with Ted Valentine at this point. And I believe they will have the conversation, but it's not going to happen during live action right now. Coach Keats wants a bit of an explanation as to the technical foul call.
Coach Keats was asking, what did he say?
And we had to move the cameras away because we apparently can't say that on TV.
Maybe Mr. Valentine doesn't want to repeat it either. Cole, backdoor, 3-point opportunity for the Jackets.
And you see, once Georgia Tech is settled down offensively and they can actually run their stuff without the defensive pressure that they saw in the first 6 minutes of this game versus NC State, now they can get opportunities at the rim and find quality looks. But NC State's defensive pressure to start the game off was tremendous. I just didn't feel as though they could sustain that for 40 minutes. And now Georgia Tech has found a way to settle in and get good things on the offensive end of the floor.
The last 30 seconds, Dorn picked up 2 fouls, and Markel Johnson picked up his 2nd foul. And now Johnson turns it over on the dribble.
And give Todrick Jackson a lot of credit for what he's been able to do defensively. We saw Josh Okogie do the same thing with Al Freeman, but just like that, Todrick Jackson getting involved and knocking the basketball away. Markel Johnson, the last to touch that going out of bounds.
Georgia Tech's a team that has excellent body language, especially for a squad that's lost 7 in a row. They got Beverly, and now he has 2. So Dorn, Beverly, and Johnson all with 2 fouls. Malika Boot came in and picked up 2 fouls in 2 minutes as well.
And you see Kevin Keats 20-9 in his first season at the helm for the Wolfpack. And one more win, he will actually tie the legendary Everett Case for the most wins by a first-year head coach.
That was back in 1946-47.
That's a little while ago.
You're at 7, met by Lammers. He scores anyway. First field goal for Yurt 7.
And NC State wanting a foul on that possession, but Ben Lambers did go straight up and did not bring his arms over to affect the shot, which allowed Yurt 7 to be able to still easily make the layup.
Jackson too strong with the right hand, but tracked down by Cole.
And the one person we haven't mentioned much in this game thus far is Josh Okogie, the leading scorer for Georgia Tech.
What's he waiting for?
Well, he's trying again, but when you're the #1 player on the scouting report, it's often difficult, and he's got 10 defensive eyes on him every time he touches the basketball.
Jackson from the corner. And that's out of bounds. Last touch by Okogie. Pack ball. Okogie 0 for 1. 1 rebound, 1 assist in 11 minutes. Using Yurt 7 as that high screener and getting him rolling to the basket has done wonders for the NC State offense. Its ability to stretch the floor. It'll stay with the Pack here.
And Georgia Tech has had a hard time securing defensive rebounds in this game, continuing to give NC State opportunities. And one thing about this Wolfpack team, you cannot continue to give them opportunities because they can get hot in a hurry, especially from the three-point area, and they can blow people out when they start shooting the ball. A couple games ago against Boston College, watched them make 9 straight threes in the first half and pretty much blew that game wide open in a stretch after starting off 0 for 8 from the field and not scoring for over 6 minutes.
Tough shot for Jackson, wouldn't go. The whistle on the rebound action goes against NC State. It's going to be charged to Hunt. So the Jackets will have it, trailing by 5. 8 minutes left in the first half. An exclusive production of Raycom Sports. Our coverage of ACC basketball is being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network. We welcome the nearly 1 million men and women of the U.S. Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines stationed all around the globe in 175 countries and on the high seas. We're so proud to have you with us. We thank you for your service. We hope you're enjoying the broadcast.
Evan Cole at the line, shooting 2.
Georgia Tech now in the double bonus. 10th NC State foul of the half before the break, so Evan Cole's at the line, where Georgia Tech could be doing a little better from. In fact, Jackets would be ahead if they had made all of their free throws. They're 4 of 9, now 4 of 10.
And Evan Cole is actually 1 for 4 from the free throw line thus far in this game.
NC State, after the quick start, now at just 36% in the half. Georgia Tech's defense has done some things.
Well, and also you haven't had the Dorn opportunities, which has allowed them to be successful. And again, another turnover now, the 8th turnover for Georgia Tech, which should have been an easy opportunity for Moses Wright. Drops it out of bounds with Josh Okogie. And again, I recognize Okogie being a playmaker there. Maybe took it one dribble too far, but I wouldn't have been upset if Josh Okogie went ahead and tried to score that himself and trying to give it to Wright.
Beverly runs Jackson through a bunch of screens, and Abu traveled making his move. That's the 6th turnover for the Wolfpack. NC State came out racing, up 7-zip. Felt like in the first couple minutes like this could get ugly. Why has this game stabilized?
Because Dorn's on the bench with 2 fouls. I think that's probably the biggest reason. He was spectacular in the first 4 minutes of this game on both ends of the floor. His defensive energy as well as his rebounding and offensive rebounding. But when you take him away, it makes it extremely difficult for NC State to play with that type of energy. And you see in the half court, Georgia Tech can have success.
Oh, there's Abu with the follow.
That'll provide some energy right there. Abu with the follow-up slam. And one of the things, like I said, of course, we're here playing at Georgia Tech, but there is a strong contingent of Wolfpack faithful, or what they like to prefer as the Wolfpack Nation, behind us supporting their team.
Turned around during the anthem, and I'm like, there's a lot of red in here. Not quite PNC, but it traveled well tonight.
Far from PNC. PNC is probably one of the loudest places in the country right now.
There's the first bucket for Josh Okogie. Jackets within one. Beverly flips it up. Tough catch and finish for Yurt 7.
And a nice play there by Braxton Beverly. Not settling for the jump shot, but attacking the paint and allowing Yurt 7 to get a bucket. And it's always better when your big fellas get opportunities.
In and out right from the corner. He wanted that shot. Again, they start with a Yurt 7 screen. Lammers did a good job with Yurt 7 last year. Of course, it was a different freshman season for Yurt 7. He's grown so much this year.
He really has, and that's a great option for Kevin Keats to be able to go to. His team's not getting the three-point looks and making the three-point shots like they have in this winning streak. So what do? They throw the ball to the post, go to Yurt 7, and there are very few teams in the ACC that have a post presence like Yurt 7.
Moses Wright looking for Lammers, a little too hot. Turnover number 9.
And Omer Yurt 7 doing a great job of taking his time and being patient against a great defender, not just good, but a great defender in Ben Lammers. And the only thing he could go to there is the left-hand jump hook. And he's able to do so successfully.
7 points, 5 rebounds for Omer Yurt 7. Beverly pestered by Jackson on the dribble.
Yeah, give Todrick Jackson a lot of credit for what he and as well as Josh Okogie, both those guys have been good defensively, but Al Freeman gets the best of Okogie on that possession, blowing past him, and that's one of the areas where Georgia Tech has struggled at times too. Josh Okogie getting in foul trouble, so Okogie has to play different defensively to make sure he can stay on the floor.
Explosive first step from Al Freeman. He's now got 5 points. 4.5 to play in the opening half. Jackson challenges Yurt 7.
And Todrick Jackson may be one of the best guards in the ACC when he gets in the paint, challenging big guys. At 6'1", Jackson could care less about shot blockers. Probably comes from having to practice against Ben Lammers for 4 years.
You think so? He angles his body so well. Yurt 7 draws the foul, and that's number 2 on Lammers. Yep.
Tech foul charge to number 44. And Lammers is second, 15 foul.
Coming up at halftime, we'll have the Hardy's halftime report. We'll preview the exciting new show from Raycom Sports, Heroes of the Dorm, Atlantic Coast region. Plus, we'll talk ACC tournament on the Hardy's halftime report. 7 games on Saturday, Corey, and then the basketball heads to Brooklyn.
It's going to be a very exciting ACC tournament. This year, Virginia right now, the #1 seed going in. There are a lot of people that don't feel as though Virginia would be the favorite to win the tournament.
Are you one of those people?
I'm not. I think Virginia could very well win the ACC tournament this year, but I also think, NC State's playing as good at basketball as anybody right now. You look at both Duke and North Carolina and what they've done so far, even though both those teams have lost this week. I think they're playing very good basketball, but I would have to say that Virginia is the favorite going in solely because when they can control the pace of a game, they normally win. And to be honest, they always control the pace of the game. You have to make a bunch of threes to beat Virginia. It's hard to do on a court that you rarely played on.
Evan Cole picked up his second foul. NC State makes a couple free throws. The lead swells back to 8. Real quick, the return of Bonsi Colson, how does that change the equation for Notre Dame?
I think it changes the equation tremendously for Notre Dame as far as the eyes of the NCAA Tournament Committee. Choosing Notre Dame possibly being a team that gets in. Notre Dame right now 8-9, and they play at Virginia on Saturday. If they can get a win there, I think that would solidify them getting into the tournament. But even without a win at Virginia, I think they still have a chance to get in.
That was an impossible shot for Alston, and he's got a chance for 3.
I agree. And Brandon Alston, normally doing most of his damage on the perimeter, doing a great job taking it to the rim, finishing through the contact of Abu. I'm not sure how he did it, but somehow he got it done.
ACC three-point challenge presented by Mellow Mushroom. Before the game, I was giving it my best shot. First, I used the pointer finger technique, and then I switched to the thumb. And I made a couple baskets, but not as many as NC State has made lately from the outside. But if you download the Mellow Mushroom app, it's totally free, and you can enter the code ACC5 at your next Mellow Mushroom checkout for $5 off your order. Visit mellowmushroom.com/order.
Well, whenever you switch it up in midstream, that means you actually weren't doing well to start, right?
Exactly. I struggled early. I feel like usually I play the game sitting down, but I was standing up for the camera, and it threw off my balance.
Oh, standing up to shoot. That's an odd thought.
Well, when you play video games, I don't know if you're always standing when you play Madden, but...
I don't play Madden.
No?
No, not my thing.
Tecmo Bowl?
No, Tecmo Bowl, I was nice.
Well, there you go. My era as well.
By the way, when you go to arcade, especially back in the day when there were arcades,
sure,
you stood up and played games.
That's different.
You see how Braxton Beverly stands up to shoot right there? I'm just saying, you might want to take a couple pointers from Braxton.
There's a reason I went into broadcasting and not professional gaming. Like, you won't see me on the Heroes of the Dorm. 36-27. Beverly now has 6 points, and the Pack have their largest lead of the game.
And you see Torrin Dorn back on the court playing with 2 fouls for NC State. Kevin Keats recognizing a crucial time as Okogie is able to get to the rim relatively easily there with no resistance, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that Lammers is outside the paint, pulling Yurt 7 away from the basket.
Freeman a little out of control in the drive, lost it. Georgia Tech, can they string 2 baskets together? Lammers on the glass, powers it up. Yurt 7 steals the rebound away.
And a great defensive job there by Yurt 7 not to foul.
Freeman gives it up. Nice extra pass. Dorn. Everything but the bucket with that move. Loose in the corner. Beverly knocked out of bounds. Georgia Tech basketball.
But give Yurt 7 credit for keeping that basketball alive. And that's one of the areas where NC State has really been successful in this game, is on the offensive glass. And Beverly came up with that possession. Got a little nudge out of bounds on that one, but yet it's the offensive rebounding and the attention to detail that NC State's allowing them to get multiple possessions.
Moses Wright has had a tough night so far.
Moses Wright's possibly putting a little too much pressure on himself, recognizing he's playing against his hometown team. And he's really been a bit over anxious as this game started. You can see emotionally right now starting to build up on him.
He's gone from a guy who was playing sparingly through the non-conference to now 22 minutes a night over the last 6.
Well, and it's, of course, a lot more pressure when you know you're going to start the game and be a part of it. You know, and he's really actually come into the starting lineup and replaced the production that, well, I won't say the production, but the minutes that A.D. Gay was getting. And Gay not getting much opportunity here tonight, but it's difficult to play 2 bigs versus this NC State team. And Ben Lammers doesn't come off the floor much, giving Gay much opportunity at all.
Jackson contested shot. Lammers another offensive rebound, and he took advantage of Yurt 7 going for the block.
You know, and Ben Lammers has been playing much better basketball as of late. He struggled with ankle injury and knee injury at points during this season, but he is starting to put it together. Gone over his 1,000th point now, was rewarded the basketball for that earlier before the game. And seems as though he's playing like a senior who knows his career is coming to an end.
Fun to watch Yurt 7 and Lammers go at it here. Lammers forces the tough shot. Torrin Dorn's there for the rebound. He's blocked from behind by Cole. Okogie under a minute and a half. Unable to spin it home. And Batts pushes the other way. Dorn over Lammers, no. Okogie's got it.
And give Ben Lammers credit for not just 1 but 2 great defensive stops on the last 2 possessions for Georgia Tech, preserving opportunities where Yurt 7 got a good look, and then of course Torrin Dorn getting a good look on that one, but unable to finish because of a great defensive stand by Ben Lammers.
Timeout called by Georgia Tech. 35 seconds left in the half. Here's our First Citizens Bank Forever First moment. Mark Price, Bobby Cremins, and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets of yore winning the ACC crown.
And my man Perry Watson over there messing up Bobby's hair. What's going on with that? You can't mess up that great head of lettuce right there on Bobby Cremins.
Like, that was the point. You can try to mess it up, and you can't, no matter how much you try. Coach Cremins, one of my favorites.
Great staff there for Bobby Cremins. Of course, that team included Mark Price, John Sally. That was the first ACC tournament victory or ACC tournament championship for Georgia Tech. 3 under the belt of Bobby Cremins throughout his illustrious career here at Georgia Tech. That's why the court is named after him.
Didn't I hear you talk recently about getting recruited by Coach Cremins?
I did. I was on my way. I was coming to play for Georgia Tech and Bobby Cremins, and my good friend Travis Best actually committed a week before I was going to. Worked out for the best for all of us. Travis had a great career here at Georgia Tech, and of course I had a spectacular 2.5 years at the University of Virginia.
Your team's #1 in the country right now, your alma mater. That wasn't what Pastner was looking for out of the timeout. NC State can play for the last shot here. Their largest lead of the half has been 9. A half in which they've forced 11 turnovers and scored 11 points off those turnovers. Freeman hangs in the air, can't finish. Rebound tipped around, and Leonard Freeman could not get it to the rim as the horn sounded. Packed by 7 at the break. The difference in the game has been Georgia Tech's giveaways and NC State's ability to capitalize. 8 points for Beverly. Torin Dorn leads the way with 9. The difference is 7 at the half.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Geico, saving people money for over 75 years. By Food Lion, raising standards without raising prices. How refreshing. By your local Chevy dealers. And by Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
Tech to be able to find his way to the free throw line 11 times. Unfortunately for Georgia Tech, they were only able to make 4 of those free throws, and that's one of the areas that hurt them in the first half. But as we look at our top scorers on the day, Josh Okogie coming in averaging 18.2, only 6 points, and Al Freeman, who has led NC State in scoring the last 4 games, only 5 points thus far for him in this one.
Be interesting to see if those 2 guys can get it going. For the Jackets, Todrick Jackson's got 12. Torin Dorn has 9 for NC State. Dorn, of course, started 3 for 3 and then missed his last 5 field goal attempts of the half. He brought great energy. Perhaps the energy that led to the technical foul hurt the Wolfpack in that first half.
Well, it hurt the Wolfpack because he had to come off the floor, and I believe defensively they're not the same without Torin Dorn on the floor. And he also has a matchup advantage normally on the offensive end of the floor. So Dorn back on the floor now playing with 2 fouls, so he's in good shape. But Abdul-Malik Abu actually 3 fouls for NC State in the first half. So he won't be starting the second half because he's not starting the games right now. But he has to be cautious when he does have his opportunity to check in.
Well, as Georgia Tech retook the floor to start the second half, one of the last guys shouting instructions was Jose Alvarado on the bench. He had surgery last Friday, and he was such an important leader for this team as a freshman.
He has, and of course before the game he comes over and tells me the same thing he tells me every time I do a Georgia Tech game, to say something good about him. And I'm asking him, what can I say good about you now? Every time I say something about you, go out and hurt yourself.
Well, he's a good leader, and we'll see if his words from the bench can inspire a comeback here. Jackson now with 14 points gets the second half scoring started.
Well, what I can say is that young man is extremely missed by this Georgia Tech team. A young player, freshman, averaging 12 points per game, and really a crucial part of what Josh Pastner wanted to do this year.
Do a lot of players do that? If I'm asking you to say something nice about them? Inside, nice pass here at 7 to Dorn.
Well, normally they do if I said something bad about them before, but I haven't had anything bad to say about Jose. I talked to a lot of these guys before the games. Very few of them asked me to say something nice about them. They know I'm going to take care of them.
Jackson unable to finish on the athletic drive. 5-on-4 the other way. Beverly had his pass to the corner deflected. Nice job by Georgia Tech preventing the easy bucket in transition.
And Braxton Beverly is the one guy who's had success from beyond the arc thus far for NC State. 2 for 2 from him from three-point range. And we're normally in the end of the first half used to seeing NC State with, probably 6 to 7 three-pointers made, especially here recently during this stretch.
Tough catch by a Kogi. In the Lammers.
With a wide receiver on that play, right?
Yes, indeed. 4 straight points. Jackets back within 5. That's a foul. Jackson picked up a second.
Charge to number 1. Tajay Jackson is second. First team foul.
Oftentimes you'll see assistant coaches, directors of basketball operations, other members on the bench holding up defensive signs. But on the last possession, after a Georgia Tech score, Josh Pastner sprinted over to the table to find his sign with the 12 on it to alert his team what defense he wanted them in. Coach Pastner's still moving pretty good. You see he's got all his signs over there lined up. I wonder if he's picking one of those signs as he runs down through line, or he knows which one he wants to be in beforehand.
You're 7 from outside.
And that's borderline unfair. To have your 7-foot center stepping out off underneath out-of-bounds plays, knocking down three-pointers, that's deflating to your defense. When it wasn't really much of a play run, it was just the fact that your 7 popped open. Lambert's unable to get out there for the contest, but a great pass by Lambert there to find Moses Wright, who I believe may have settled down a bit here to start the second half.
We'll see what he can do after halftime. That's his first field goal. And NC State turns it over. Moses Wright, if you joined us late, from Raleigh, North Carolina, went to Enloe High School.
Give and go, the oldest play in the game of basketball, and Ben Lambert's a tremendous passer. So when he has the ball in his hands, he makes everyone else on the team a threat to score because he can pick people apart with his ball handling and passing.
Here's Jackson. That was halfway down. So give and go is the oldest play. Pick and roll, the second oldest play?
I'm not sure if it's the second oldest, but it's not as old as the give and go.
Here's Freeman. That's good. NC State with another 3, and the lead swells back to 9.
And that's where the success of the Wolfpack really gets started, from beyond the arc. And they have 5 guys on the floor right now capable of knocking down threes. And that makes you extremely difficult to defend.
Right on the drive, out of control, and an offensive foul.
Offensive foul charge to
You like the aggressiveness by Moses Wright, but Markel Johnson getting over there in the right position, but Johnson down right now, looking as though he's definitely in some discomfort. Not sure if he's holding that right shoulder. What he's going to, don't have to want to speculate, but see the trainer's paying attention to that shoulder.
Well, he went down awkwardly, took the hard hit on the drive from right, and then Cole may have landed on him in pursuit of the rebound. Let's take another look.
Smart play by Johnson, getting over and setting up for the charge. He takes the charge squarely and going down. You see Cole come in at the end of the play. You don't see it, but got a different angle here. Have to watch for the activity after the call. Not certain, but that could have been the case. Cole may have come in and landed on his arm.
He's been the guy that has made NC State go during this stretch when they've gone 10-4 in the ACC after starting 0-2. He's got 95 assists in their last 10 games. And 4 assists tonight.
His assist numbers putting up Chris Corciani numbers.
Right.
He had a chance to talk to Corciani, who's here, made the trip down to be able to see the Wolfpack. So I told you, things are going well for you when you go on the road and you see a tremendous sea of red back behind the Wolfpack bench.
4-game winning streak entering the night, longest for the Wolfpack in ACC play since 2006. 5 to shoot for Freeman. Step back. Lammers the rebound. Ahead and right. Like kept it alive. Okogie wide open.
That's where Josh Okogie's game has really grown this season. His ability to shoot the three.
Oh, how about that response by Al Freeman?
Well, you cannot rest when you're playing against the Wolfpack. Make or miss, they want to be able to push the ball out and get down the floor quickly. Al Freeman taking advantage of the fact that there was a cross match. Okogie had not been able to get back in front of Freeman coming down the court.
Moses Wright will take it. Rebound for Dorn. Dorn past Okogie. Dorn tried to detonate, but the loose ball to midcourt for Jackson, and he'll slam it in at the other end. What a turnaround there.
Well, Kevin Keats extremely upset because there were a number of NC State players right around the basketball that never went after the basketball, allowing Todrick Jackson to be able to get out in an easy transition bucket.
Freeman going to work again. Offensive foul is the call.
Offensive foul charge to
Georgia Tech, Moses Wright challenging the dunk. And no one from NC State coming up with the basketball. And Todrick Jackson makes it a 6-point game.
48-42. Kevin Keats, frustrated with the offensive foul call against Freeman, was teed up.
Well, he said whatever he had to say right in front of Roger Ayers. Roger Ayers made the call and walked away. I think a great piece of officiating, because one thing Roger Ayers doesn't want to do is put Kevin Keats in a situation to where there could be another verbal altercation. He has to give Keats another technical foul and put him out of this game. Coach Keats wanting to talk to Roger Ayers, but Roger Ayers does a great job, in my opinion, of staying away from it, allowing the situation to diffuse itself, and then will continue to play on. And you've got some great officials on the court for this game. I think they've done a great job with it. Ted Valentine, Roger Ayers, Ed Corbett, a great group to be able to officiate this highly contested contest. And, you know, when you play against a team like NC State that plays so aggressively, there's going to be a lot of physicality on the floor, and tempers could get flaring because of the way that they play. And, of course, Coach Keats is a highly intense coach along the sidelines who's definitely going to always go to bat for his players.
No question about that. Jackson, pretty good position inside, and he might be the best guard in the league at posting up like that.
I believe so. He loves to go down there, and oftentimes you'll see him post against players much taller than he, but yet Josh Pastner trusts Todrick Jackson on the block.
Ben Lammers just picked up his 5th assist on the dish. And there's a rebound for Wright. Georgia Tech trailed by as many as 9. They're back within 3. Make it 1. Okogie into double figures. Jackets as close as they have been in the second half.
And remember, Markel Johnson on the bench right now, went to the bench with an injury. And we know how important he is to the offense of NC State. Probably just as important as is Amir Yurtseven, who has been a luxury to have in the paint with his ability to score with his back to the basket, and had a tremendous evening so far.
Showing off all the tools. Yurtseven's now got 13 with 8 boards. Jackson kicks it for Wright. Moses Wright, no. Lammers, yes. Timeout Jackets. Josh Pastner's team on a 9-2 run. They've made 4 of their last 5 shots to get back within 1.
Moses Wright getting it up on the glass, allowing Ben Lammers another opportunity to now make it a 1-point game.
Exclusive production of Raycom Sports in year 36 of broadcasting ACC hoops. Our Bojangles fan of the game, how about Georgia Tech football coach Paul Johnson sitting courtside, pleased with the Jackets' comeback. It's bow time, and Coach Johnson, the Bojangles fan of the game tonight. He doesn't even realize it.
I'm sure he's had enough accolades in his life to although being Bojangles' fan of the game is great.
You ever been in Coach Johnson's office? It's a beautiful office overlooking the football field, as most football coaches do at this level, but it is beautiful.
So you just asked me, a basketball analyst, had I been in...
You've been everywhere.
Had I been in the office of the head football coach of Georgia Tech.
You've been everywhere.
I'm just going to let you think about that one for a while.
Markel Johnson back in the game.
Coach Keats had to get him back in the game. NC State's offense had stalled significantly with him on the bench.
Gives it to Freeman for three. Yes!
And that's what Markel Johnson does. He gets everyone in the right spots. Braxton Beverly can go back to doing what he does best, is shooting the ball. Al Freeman can go back to scoring the basketball. Torin Dorn can score the basketball. Instead of these guys having to have the responsibility of making plays for others, they can just do what they do well and allow Markel to do all the dirty work.
How about Lammers the dish and Jackson the flush?
And we talked about it earlier. Ben Lammers can tear you apart with his ability to pass the basketball. And Josh Baxter does a great job putting him in the position to where he's almost like a point center. And you see the beautiful dime he drops off to Todrick Jackson for the dunk.
2-point game. Beverly feeds Yurt 7. And he missed it short, but guess who's there for the rebound and the stick back?
And Torin Dorn getting another offensive rebound and put back at a time where Georgia Tech desperately needs a stop. Great defensive job by Lammers to affect the shot of Yurt 7, but yet Georgia Tech unable to finish the defensive possession.
Jackson to right. Right on the drive, no. Lammers and Cole playing volleyball. Wright finds it. And it's Cole who couldn't throw it down. And it was last touched by Jackson.
And the crowd wanting that basketball off of NC State. Ed Corbett has his eye on it, saying that it will go to NC State. But a beautiful find from Ben Lammers for Todrick Jackson, showing off the Bunnies. 4-point lead for NC State.
5 days away, beginning on Tuesday at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. ACC Network has you covered wire to wire. All 14 games, including Saturday night's championship matchup. Mark it down your calendar. Last year it was Duke and Notre Dame in the finals. Who will it be this year? Look ahead to Saturday's games around the ACC, brought to you by Flonase. Some big ones. Virginia Tech, Miami, critical game. One of those, the winner of that one could be in position to get a double bye if one of the top 5 slips up. Notre Dame looking for the marquee win against Virginia, who's in trouble right now at Louisville. Georgia Tech gets a stop despite allowing the drive, trailing by 4 with 11:37 to play.
And this is about the time Todrick Jackson looks to take over.
There you go.
And a big bucket for Jackson there to make this a one-possession game. And Todrick Jackson has had stretches throughout his career at Georgia Tech where he has absolutely taken over games. And right now, with his next to last game here at McCamish, he's looking to do so.
He's come out with a purpose tonight. He's got the turnover. Jackson past Johnson. They call the foul on Markel in transition. That's the third on the Wolfpack point guard. Good foul?
Honestly, I think that Markel had a good line on Todrick Jackson to where he could go back and affect him, but he does stop Todrick from being able to get to the rim and an opportunity. Now Georgia Tech has to play against the half-court defense, but I'm not going to say it's a good foul when you take your point guard who's so important and you put a third foul on him, really without having to do much from the defense.
Oh, there's the third foul on Torin Dorn. Grappling for position with Cole inside.
Torin Dorn just trying to fight around. Give Evan Cole credit for trying to find a spot and post up. Torin Dorn trying to fight around and come up with the steal. Another foul against the Wolfpack. And they've done a very good job in the first 9 minutes of staying out of foul trouble here in the second half. But just like that, now 3 fouls on both Dorn and Johnson.
Lammers again, the dish. Austin ties this game. That's 8 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists for Lammers. He's been the pivot man. McCamish as loud as it's been tonight. Johnson, no. Lammers controls the rebound. Jackets looking for their first lead of the night. Austin says, why not? Buries it! Timeout, Wolfpack.
Brandon Austin recognizing the Wolfpack loading up, does not want the basketball to go inside to Todrick Jackson. With that much space, Brandon Austin has to knock that shot down, and he does, to give Georgia Tech their first lead of the evening.
7-0 run over the last 143. Josh Pastner's team has lost 7 in a row and yet continues to play very competitively with some excellent opponents.
But you mentioned earlier their game at Virginia and then their game at Clemson. 2 straight games where they were in both of those. They had a 10-minute stretch against Clemson where their offense failed them the last 10 minutes of the game, where they were outscored 29-14 to end the game versus Clemson. So right now, being back in the comforts of their home court, we'll see if the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets can finish this game up against a team that is playing great basketball coming in the Wolfpack.
Get it inside, and you're 7 with a lefty hook.
I tell you what, we've got a great battle going on today between 2 of the best bigs in the ACC. Amir Yurtseven, Ben Lammers, who in my opinion, both of these guys at some point will play NBA basketball. But they are really having a great battle, and it's good to be able to see them going at it. And neither one of these coaches double teaming. They're allowing them to go man-to-man, one-on-one. Lammers has won a couple possessions. Yurtseven has won a couple. Lammers has made a number of great plays, great passes on his end of the floor, and Yurtseven doing more of his damage scoring.
Jackson, he was looking to Cole in the corner, and Cole decided to cut.
And see, that's an area where Todrick Jackson gets that turnover, but that's not his fault. That's one where Evan Cole needs to stay in the corner, catch it, and be ready to knock down the 3, especially with the momentum going in the favor of Georgia Tech right now.
9 minutes to play in Atlanta. Freeman takes it. Abu keeps it alive. Yurtseven, baseline 2.
And Yurtseven just doing a good job finding the open spot with Ben Lammers hanging around the rim trying to block a shot. And such a luxury to have your big man, your 5-man that shoots the ball as well as Amir Yurtseven.
Yurtseven now 17 points. Backdoor, Jackson unable to spin it home. Loose ball tracked down by Okogie.
And give Josh Okogie credit for wanting that basketball more than everyone else and turning it into 2 points by coming up with the 50-50 ball.
This is fun. Freeman attacks and scores.
And Al Freeman very aggressive going to the rim. He's had his best games when he shot the 3 very well, and he shot the 3 well today, but he's done it been more productive when he's been attacking the basket.
Back and forth we go on the odd number here. Austin drives, hits Lammers, the dive and the deuce.
Josh Pastner trying to get a timeout on that possession, unable to get it, but has to be happy with the pace of this game. It's being played at a Georgia Tech pace right now, especially with them being able to operate well on the offensive end of the floor.
Lammers grabs another rebound. He's closing in on the double-double.
And this is where Georgia Tech needs to be patient on the offensive end of the floor. They don't want to stop being aggressive, but now be able to execute their offense, because the defensive pressure of NC State has definitely dropped off considerably from what we saw at the beginning of this game.
Inside Jackson. Lammers, 18 feet, got it. Impressive shot making at both ends of the floor.
Well, you've got two big men who are extremely skilled around the basket as well as shooting the jump shot.
Lammers fouls Freeman. Free throws for the Pack after the timeout. Georgia Tech looking for the upset. We'll be back after a word from your local ACC station. Pack in this game, Ben Lammers has been the difference.
Well, it's been a battle all night for these two guys, Omer Yurtseven versus Ben Lammers, and we've seen both these guys showing off a little bit of everything in their repertoire. Not only around the basket, but also shooting the jump shot, passing the basketball, being complete players. Omer Yurtseven capable of stepping out, knocking down the threes. Ben Lammers getting it done on both ends of the floor. When you see these guys' numbers, a tremendous matchup between two of the best bigs in the ACC.
Well, Ben Lammers was 2 blocks away from a triple-double against Bethune-Cookman earlier in the year. He's a couple rebounds and a few assists away. 6:35 to go. Al Freeman at the line. Full court pressure from the Wolfpack.
And advantage basketball.
How about this? Evan Cole thunder slam. That wasn't the press that Kevin Keats was looking for.
Well, they made a mistake by coming up to try to take away the basketball from Todrick Jackson.
Ambitious pass, didn't reach the target, but who touched it last?
I believe Sam Hunt was actually the last one to touch that. Cole tried to get to it, but couldn't get a hand on the basketball. But on the previous possession, when you have an advantage and you know there are guys behind you, you can't run to the basketball. It made it an easy pitch ahead for Todrick Jackson to find Cole, who was able to finish with the slam.
Jackson, the game's high scorer with 22. Inside of Lammers. Tough shot. NC State basketball.
And that's a great piece of officiating right there. They give the basketball to NC State, and in all honesty, the fans here don't like it, and the ball may have gone off of Al Freeman. But the other option there was to call a foul on Josh Okogie. I like the officiating by Ed Corbett and Roger Ayers. Give the ball to NC State. Keep playing.
It's an athletic battle for the rebound between Freeman and Okogie. Plenty of good one-on-one matchups tonight. Johnson, the crossover. Okogie rises up for the rebound.
And you see Josh Okogie, not just a strong scorer, but a strong rebounding guard. And now, you know, of course, he hasn't had a big scoring game here tonight, but he's having to take over the role of playing point guard, which takes away from some of his aggressiveness on the offensive end of the floor. But he's gotten it done in all facets here tonight.
Jackson unable to bank it home, and it'll go to the Wolfpack.
And that's the second time we've seen Todrick Jackson have a shot pretty much go all the way down, but somehow find a way to come back out of the basket.
We tick under 5 minutes here in Atlanta. Johnson up high, deflected by Lammers. Jackson almost stole it away, but he lost it out of bounds.
And that is a great defensive play by Ben Lammers right there. He actually stunned it at Markel Johnson to make you think he was going to step up and take away his shot, and then was still able to retreat and knock that basketball away from Yurtseven, who would have had an easy slam like we saw in the progressive plays of the game.
Yep.
And I mean, so that was the thing. Ben Lammers was able to stop that by himself.
Yurtseven with a hand in his face. Rebound for Georgia Tech, and then Johnson poked it away. Cole from behind, from the floor, gets it to Okogie. And Okogie draws the foul on the drive.
And a great decision by Josh Okogie, recognizing the numbers that he had attacking NC State's defense off of the hustle play. And give Markel Johnson credit for tapping that away, but Evan Cole getting on the floor, giving it up. And at this point, Josh Okogie recognized he can get to the rim, unable to finish, but does get to the free throw line, where he's actually the ACC's leading free throw attempts man.
This is the first foul on yard 7. And the tough free throw night continues for the Jackets. Coming up Saturday, 2 o'clock, Clemson and Syracuse from the Carrier Dome. And then at 4 o'clock, big game in Charlottesville. Notre Dame with Bonzie Colson back against the #1 Virginia Cavaliers. They'll still be #1, but might they be coming off a loss in Louisville?
And that will be senior night for Devin Hall and Isaiah Wilkins, who both, in my opinion, are first-team All-ACC defensive players. And Devin Hall, most likely the ACC's Defensive Player of the Year. And they will be playing at the JPJ for their last time in what has been a great career for both of those guys. So it's going to be a lot of energy in Charlottesville on Saturday for that game.
Beverly has Cole on the switch, drives by him, missed the, no, he made the layup. Yurt 7 was there for the tip back, but it falls for Beverly.
Well, that was a great play by Yurt 7. He really wasn't setting a screen, but because he was posting up strong, Braxton Beverly was able to use his body to be able to get free and get close to the rim.
10.6 assists for Beverly tonight. Here's a Kogi. Dribbling through the traffic, gets the look. Rebound Yurt 7. NC State, they tie with a 2, could lead with a 3. Dorn puts his head down, gets to the basket, and the foul.
We saw Torn Dorn getting it done early in the game, and now that it's crunch time, Torn Dorn is up to his old tricks as he ties the game at 67.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Food Lion, raising standards without raising prices. How refreshing. By New York Life, with the right guidance, everyone can be good at life. By Coyote Tractor. And by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
A very important 3.5 minutes ahead for the NC State Wolfpack. They enter tonight knowing that if they win tonight and on Saturday against Louisville, they will be in that top 4. Will get the bye, the double bye to Thursday. A loss tonight would be very tough to secure that top 4 spot. They would likely have to play on Wednesday. Torren Dorn gives NC State the lead, completing the 3-point play. And the Jackets, Corey, have been without a field goal for about 3 minutes now.
Well, and right now, Josh Pastner had the opportunity to draw up exactly what he wanted to come out of the timeout. Now, at times, Georgia Tech has struggled with this, but you can see they want to get the ball to Todrick Jackson on the block, but you have to take that opportunity from Josh Okogie as a strong consolation. Ben Lammers with a great job following it up, and he has been impressive all night here tonight on both ends of the floor.
It's our 7th lead change of the second half. Feels like they've all been in the last 8 minutes. And there's number 8.
And that's the problem when you have a big man that can shoot the ball as well as Yurt 7. It brings Ben Lammers out of the paint. And so many times here in the second half, especially at crucial moments, we've seen NC State be able to get all the way to the basket and not have to deal with the shot block.
Lammers draws the foul. It'll be just the second on Amir Yurt 7.
And Braxton Beverly needing a second to get himself together there. Saw him crouched over during play. May have taken a shot where no man wants to get hit, but I think that was the case earlier. We saw him crouched over as play was going on, so when he got a break with the dead ball, trying to take a second to get himself together.
Free throw so critical.
See, during the play, Beverly coming in. Ooh is right. Evan Cole trying to get position.
Ben Lammers gives Georgia Tech the lead again, and Josh Pastner follows the free throws with a timeout. Hey, remember when we showed the graphic of Freeman and Okogie, and they only had 5 and 6 points at the half?
Yeah, that's changed.
It has changed. Freeman now has 19, Okogie has 15, and we've got a 1-point game with 2.5 to play.
Well, and I believe we're going to see a lot more of Okogie down the stretch for this final 2.5 minutes. The seniors, Todrick Jackson and Ben Lammers, have been special. It's not senior night yet, but Georgia Tech, they'll do that on Saturday afternoon. But the seniors have had a special performance here at McCamish Pavilion, but I believe it's going to be the sophomore, Josh Okogie, that will be the difference in winning or losing this game for Georgia Tech. He's going to have to be special down the stretch. 15 points now for Okogie. Al Freeman up to 19. And where he's continued to score very well for NC State over these last 5 games.
Freeman trying to lead the Wolfpack in scoring again. Patrick Jackson's got 22, number 1 for the Jackets. As we head down the home stretch tonight. Now Georgia Tech has the quick turnaround. They play Saturday at noon, their senior day against Wake Forest. Torin Dorn, yes.
And that's the thing for NC State. They have a number of guys that can go make big plays and make big baskets when they're needed. There are less guys on the floor for Georgia Tech. You know Todrick Jackson, Okogie, and Ben Lammers can make big plays, but all 5 on the court for NC State are capable, including Markel Johnson, who's not in the game right now.
Nice move by Lammers.
This is a big man clinic. If you're a high school big out there watching this game, this is one you can clip and take plays from Ben Lammers and from Amir Yurtseven and put together a highlight reel and just follow what these guys do.
They got Freeman for the push-off.
Offensive foul charge to NC State's number 12.
And that's what I love about Josh Okogie. That's the second time he's drawn an offensive foul on Al Freeman in this game. And Okogie, regardless as to whether he's scoring or not, doing the job, getting in front of Freeman defensively, and taking away an opportunity for NC State, and now giving his team a chance to build a bigger lead.
Looking for Lammers again. Yes! He scored 8 in a row for the Jackets.
And that was a setup called by Josh Pastner because they made that elbow entry to Lammers so many times. He knew Yurtseven would be aggressive. And Todrick Jackson putting the pass on the money. Lammers with the fake, the backdoor pass on the money. Lammers with great hands to be able to corral that pass and finish on the other side of the basket. And oh yeah, by the way, Georgia Tech only 2 second-half turnovers, which has allowed them now to be able to gain a 3-point lead.
We have seen 2 spectacularly versatile bigs in the way Lammers and Yurtseven have created tonight. The footwork, the great hands, the soft touch.
Well, you're talking about 2 guys who are extremely skilled, well beyond playing with their back to the basket. They shoot the ball well, they pass the ball well, they defend the rim, and this is really the evolution of the bigs, and we've seen it on both sides of the floor tonight.
Performance of the game brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. 29-7 for Lammers, who's 9 of 13 from the field.
And it's great to see Ben Lammers back healthy and playing with confidence as he nears the end of his Georgia Tech career. This young man struggled and battled through an ankle injury and knee injury all throughout this season. Never decreased his minutes because of it, but his production was down. But he has found his niche here late in the season and is playing great basketball as he gets closer to the end.
Lammers went over 1,000 points against Clemson over the weekend. Got 20 now tonight. All right, the Wolfpack have 1 timeout left. Yellow Jackets have 1 timeout left. The possession arrow, if there's a tie-up, belongs to NC State. Beverly, Freeman, Dorn, Hunt, and Yurtseven. Beverly rejected by Jackson. What hasn't Todrick Jackson done tonight?
Well, Todrick Jackson has had games like this where he's been extremely special for Georgia Tech throughout his career.
Jackson, the impossible catch to Okogie. Wolfpack could use a three. No good for Dorn. Rebound finds Beverly. He'll take it. That's good. And that's huge. 3-point game, 22 seconds left.
Another offensive rebound for NC State allows Beverly to get a look. But a beautiful find for Todrick Jackson, who found himself in trouble. The wherewithal to recognize where his teammate Josh Okogie was. And Okogie, I told you he was going to have something to do with this one. On the other end of the floor, Braxton Beverly off of the offensive rebound, the best time to shoot a three, knocks it down to make it a one-possession game again.
Beverly quietly 5 of 6 from the floor, 3 of 3 from deep. NC State's three-point shooting 7 of 12 in the game. Georgia Tech not far behind them, 6 of 12.
But the thing is now for Georgia Tech, one, you've got to be able to get the basketball inbounds and then secure it. NC State is going to have to foul. But one thing about Kevin Keith's team, they will go after the steal first. They're not going to just immediately concede a foul. They're going to try to get a steal and regain possession before they give the foul up.
And if they do get the tie-up, it's NC State ball. NC State's at 18 fouls, so foul on the floor would be a 1-and-1. Lammers ahead to Okogie. Okogie up high. Cole can't convert. NC State's got it. Freeman kicks it. Beverly with 10 for the tie. Rebound NC State. Back to Beverly. No! To the corner with 1.7 to go. Jackets ball. 2 pretty good looks.
That's where you ask yourself, to Josh Okogie, who I love, what were you thinking? That is not the time for the alley-oop. 2 great looks for NC State.
In the Lammers, NC State doesn't foul, and this thing's over. So's the Wolfpack winning streak. So's the Georgia Tech losing streak. Jackets 78, Wolfpack 75.
Great game. Great character shown by Todrick Jackson, Ben Lammers, the seniors from Georgia Tech, regardless of the losing streak, coming out, laying it all on the line for the Ramblin' Wreck.
For Corey Alexander and our entire crew, Evan Leffler's hands so long from Atlanta. You've been watching coverage of ACC basketball on the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports. Good night, everybody.